So I have Kimberley here with me today. Kimberley Carder is a clinical psychologist and has been doing so for 3 years. Last time we talked about family and female issues. So Kim, as professional females, is there, and especially in the area where most of your work would be clients loading their emotional troubles onto you, is there anything that you do regularly to balance yourself?
On a week-to-week basis, I make sure that I'm doing some exercise. So as you know, very much into martial arts, and I train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu a couple of times a week, 3 to 5 times, where you can get the time in. And obviously working, I do a lot of fitness work and meditation when I can as well. But so these kind of things are in place, and a lot of the time, as I was telling you before, I'll get to this point where I'm like really stressed out. I'm like, wait, why am I so stressed? And then I go and I exercise. I'm like, that's why I haven't done that in a while. So yeah, my mind-body connection is really, really strong. But I appreciate what you're saying about things being so stressful, and at the end of the day sometimes, and I've had a good work day, but I come home and I feel really heavy. And I'm like, wait, why do I feel like this? I'm like, oh yeah, because I saw 8 people today just like break down and cry, or 8 people today working me through the backstage of their life and the more difficult conversations. And so sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, tonight I just need to decompress and have time for me.
Yeah, and I feel that nowadays people are picking up on the importance of like doing sports, and meditation now is becoming more and more popular. What do you think about like the mind-body connection? How important it is for people who come to you?
I think it's hugely important, and it's something that I always emphasize in my initial consultation with anyone that I work with. I want to understand, what is your relationship with your sleep, like your sleep hygiene, like what time do you go to bed, what's around you, like when do you put down your phone, right? Like how regular is that? And then also obviously alcohol and food, like what are you consuming? Because our mental health, obviously not all of the time, but a lot of the time, is really reflective and indicative of lifestyle things that are happening, right? So that's always my first line of treatment plan and approach. If these things are irregular, how do we get them to a point where you're giving yourself the best possible chance of having good mental health? Because if you're sedentary all day, and then you go back to this concrete jungle, and you're sitting in your apartment, and you're then you go from your computer to your TV to your phone all day. Okay, well, how do we give your brain a bit of a break from that, right? And so I think it's really important to consider, like, what are we doing with our mind, what are we doing with our body, and what effect does that have on our mind?
Yeah, and I think a lot of people would say, like, the answer to why they don't do those things would be because I have no time. I have a really demanding job, I have children to take care of, etc. And women especially are very prone to prioritizing everyone in the world before themselves. Like, do you agree with that?
Absolutely. You see the pressures and the expectations that women have on them is increasing. Right. And for women to say no, or for women to put in these boundaries, they're very quickly to become vilified, as opposed to men who are like, oh, what a trooper, like being able to say no. And so I think it's being able to recognize, what are the cycles happening here. Also, what's the language that we're using? One of my big pet peeves is when people refer to women as girls. Oh yeah, like girls over there. I'm like, girls? No one's below 18, right? But instantly, okay, men over here, girls over there. The language that we use creates our reality. So what are the words? Okay, so what are the words you're using? So instead of saying I have no time, say, well, if you did have time, where would you put it? Right? Like, how do you change the questions you're asking yourself? How do you change the words you're using to describe yourself? I also find it interesting, because when I'll have conversations with women, they'll be like, oh, I don't really like get along with other women. I'm not a girl's girl, or like woman, like a woman's woman. I was like, oh, but how can you say that about the gender that you are? Right? Like, so if you don't like other women, then how could you possibly like yourself?
True,
Right? And so I think it's being really conscious of the way we're narrating our life.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, with better verbiage than that.
So thank you very much, Kim, for making the time to have this short chat with me. And I hope you continue to do your meditation, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, whatever it is that keeps your mind and body connected.
Thank you so much for having me.